Hello, this is Everett Pierce of Einstein 314. Today is December 28, 2016, and this is Duly Noted 24. And the main topic is leadership. Leaders. A leader of leaders, president of presidents. And people on the sixth heaven are here because you earned the right to be here. You're training as an apprentice to be a leader of leaders. Now let me give you some brief examples of bringing things and put it on the table. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal. That. And there's no mistaking with this evolutionary concept, which is built with United States. Okay, we have, it's about 33 minutes after 1:33 p.m. Arizona time. Now, I want to firstly talk about the Democrat Representative Maxine Waters and how this relates into president, a president of presidents, a leader of leaders. And then we'll go into examples. So, in this series of Duly Noted, if you don't know what duly noted is taking note. Means if I have two people and they're arguing, they're having a dispute, I take your side, I take your side. I believe that's what they call due process. Not one-sided. So if I hand you a revolver, and this one has one chamber and one bullet, and I hand you this revolver that has 6 chambers and 1 bullet, which one are you going to grab? If you don't have a choice. 1 chamber, 1 bullet is not democracy. It's a one choice. This revolver here was 6 chambers, 1 bullet. You would say, well, shit, I don't want either one of them. I don't like playing Russian roulette. Okay? But if you don't have that choice, and God says, or the highest evolution says, use what you are given, your talents, your skill set. Which one is the most obvious one, even though you don't like it, do you pick? Obvious is the one that has 6 chambers and 1 bullet, because you have a higher probability of self-preservation, survive. 1 bullet, 1 chamber only means unless that bullet malfunctions, you're going to blow your brains out. Okay, so that's why we have to put certain variables, certain parables. Okay, parables. Because to explain and teach certain evolutionary concepts, energy concepts, human behaviors, we have to understand certain things. So with this duly noted 24A. So Maxine Waters, he was asking her about, her position against Trump, and she implemented several things. Is the key markers. Take notice of which is on Bill O'Reilly's webpage. Now, Bill O'Reilly has earned the status and ranking of AA+. Okay, that is seventh heaven quality. Like we would see Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, people who have established themselves many times over of accomplishments. Ruling out, he just got lucky. She just got lucky. Okay, so he asked her a question. Would you, if Donald Trump invited you, would you sit down? She said, no. I will fight him every step of the way. Well, fight him a step of the way. At the same time, no, I will not sit down with him. It's like you're trying to protect your virginity, and yet you're going around, every person you run across, you're having sex with them. It doesn't make sense. It's a paradox. One or the other has to happen. So on one thing is I'm going to fight you every step of the way. I mean, I'm going to walk with you. I may not like you. But on the same token, she won't sit down with him. That takes out the element of democracy. Okay? we hold these truths to be self-evident. Now, I use the desecration of the American flag. I do not like someone putting my flag down on the ground and cussing it and burning it and whatever. But that is protected under the First Amendment right. It's because you got to look at the worser and the least of the evils. That's a cliche evolutionary concept. I mean, I'd rather have you vent. I'd rather know where you're at, your thinking, because it tells me how I can work with you out of that resolve as a leader, a resolve. Okay, versus you go into the rioting mode, means you are taking and depriving people of their liberties, their properties, and you're stabbing people. You lit a house on fire, you lit a business on fire, and then you burn my flag. Then you have crossed that polarity. As we know with energy, polarity, positive, negative, yin, yang. Then I would treat you as like we would treat terrorists. Now I know your intent. You have snitched yourself out of your intent. So for the fact that she was with conviction, it was a low-level conviction, but it was conviction. I would not sit down. I will fight him every step of the way. That is an example of what not to be in terms of a Democrat Party. Even though I don't like you burning my flag, I have to be tolerable. You're not hurting anyone else. If anything, you're hurting yourself. But somewhere along that line, you're going to do self-reflection, and you're going to say, wait a minute, boy, I was a fool. I feel like a freaking idiot. And especially if you had that spiritual awakening. And you're going to say, you know, a lot of men died for this flag. You know, it could. So as soon, at some point, you'll have a reflection. And it always comes back as you always feel like an idiot. Why did I do that? And then you're less likely to do it next time. Doesn't say you won't do it. But the bottom line is I have to be tolerable. And we have to stick to facts that I know. I hold these truths to be self-evident that, yep, Everett's a male. Yep, Everett wears glasses. Yep, Everett has blue eyes. And actually, sometimes it's bluish green, depending on the way the light hits my eyes. So, okay, so if you listen to her words, she snitches herself out. She's saying it's okay not to have democracy. What she is saying, if she had a choice, I'm going to hand her the revolver with one chamber and one bullet and pull the trigger. No, that's not what, no, that's what you're trying to teach people. That is the premises. I'm judging you by your actions and by your words that you're living by. So even though you don't like me, see, like I told, whether you're following Trump or Hillary, know why you're following them. I mean, not think I feel and I think and I feel and I think and no. Go on. We hold these truths to be self-evident. She has done this, she has done this, and then be fair about it. Make a list of things that she hasn't done. She has failed. And see which one compiles up. So whether you're on the Trump side or the Hillary side. Well, one thing you got to understand about Trump, he's a AA+++ at his worst in terms of ranking. Okay, so there's two of the best political parties, Republicans and Democrats. That's why the elephant symbolism, the donkey symbolism, demo, D-E-M-O, crats, Republicans. Okay, so technically Trump is more of a third element, a third, or in other words, Trinity. Meaning he has to use all skill sets and tools available to him for the betterment of man as a whole, for self-preservation, because third elements, Trinity, is operating on a much different level. Means Republicans and Democrats at their best still fall short of the Trinity, the third element's worst. They still fall short at their very best. So, and we see that with Michael Jordan. Him at his best and hanging up in hanging time and slamming it down. And if that's your best, and the next person comes in and at their worst, they haven't had any sleep, they haven't eaten, and in fact their finger is swollen up, because they jammed it in the doorway. And they go in there and they make Michael Jordan like he's just starting out in basketball, in terms of reference. So it's no disrespect to Michael Jordan, but in terms of understanding parables, okay, for the fact that she wants to fight him the whole way, means she, in a sense, what do we associate with? Generally a 2-year-old. It's trying to establish its identity, its placement. And no, I don't want to go. Well, just in her words alone, she's an adult. Obviously, she's an adult. You're supposed to be acting like an adult. Just because you're 18 and beyond, the next development is what you perceive. We hold these truths to be self-evident, is what is an adult. And even more so, step back out. You're here as an apprentice to be a leader of leaders, a president of presidents. That's why you're here. And we'll give examples, is everything in our environment in the United States is basic mechanisms to train you to be a president, presidents. Okay. So she uses endearment. It's like she has to connect with you, and they want to connect with people, their emotions, because your emotions will kill you quicker than logic. So for the fact that she wouldn't even sit down, basically, yes, this is democracy. Yes, you do sit down. And if you're going to be angry at me and not like what I do, then duly note, like duly noted, 24, at least know what the hell you're talking about. You're going to say, I don't like you because of this, and make sure you do a thorough list. And do a thorough list of the positive and negatives. Especially with me. I'm going to say, where's your list? Where's your facts? And you say, well, I feel. Strike. We feel a lot of things. ISIS feels that they're done wrong, and they feel that they should kill Americans. Try another. You say, well, because this. And then when your list becomes real small compared to depending on what list you're creating, I want to encourage that. And if you're going to say you don't like me, goddammit, then be thorough about it. Because it makes you look pathetic. And if I'm in charge as a president, then I look pathetic because I'm not teaching you right. So it is okay to have diversity. It's okay to have different mindsets of things. But at the end result, when the dust settles, are we going to be in a better statement? It's like, okay, I use your car and I bring it back to you, and now it's filthy dirty. It's got mud all over it. I got Wendy's, I got Burger King, I got McDonald's food wrappings and everything. And I say, well, thank you for using your car. And then the person's going to say, well, pardon my French, what the fuck? That's not how I loaned it to you. Why are you giving it back to me all trashed out? That's an element of disrespect. So, if the president asks her to come, take your notes, duly noted. And if anything, if you want to stand firm about something, I'm going to be a teacher of teachers, you're going to at least know what the hell you're rejecting me about. Because as a president, I have to have collective feedback. Collective feedback. Even the beginning, if you go referencing biblical, Adam and Eve, the two factor. It wasn't in the beginning, Well, of course, Eve was made out of his rib. But in terms of the beginning, as we know, we can't have life without both those elements. So when you say, I'm not going to sit down, you are the one factor. No, I'm not even going to listen to you. What if she didn't listen to him? I mean, you got to look at it. He comes down, everyone in his meeting, he says, okay, with everything in all seriousness aside, bang, 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 bang. And people say, wow, I didn't see that coming. And then, of course, we would, especially if you're going to be part of my cabinet, and duly noted, and you know, some people kind of conveniently leave things out. I would have someone already having duly noted positive negatives about me. And then when you see the list and say, his positives, and there's very few there, and there's a lot of the negatives, because, you know, manifestations, voluntary, involuntary. Okay? And you're going to look over and say, Maxine Waters, obviously you're not being thorough at your duly noted. Here's our sheet. This can be provable. And that also snitches you out as being selective. Just like being, I'm not going to sit down. President and President, just our mere vehicle, car, as we are at today. We can go back and we can use horses and buggies and stuff. Okay, so in a sense, you behind the driver's seat. You're like the president. And the car is like symbolism for we the people. Because of the car has many pieces, thousands of pieces that makes that car. From the motor to the wheels to the hubs, I mean everything, from the paint, even the light that shines off of it is all, you know, part of the car, symbolism of we the people. Now, as we've seen people driving out on the roads, they're inexperienced and they crash or they cause accidents. What I've seen with just a brief, and sometimes I don't need more than just the 2 seconds to know that you cause a big problem. And it's also a good example of why Democrats have always failed in many areas. Because they're leading with their emotions. Back off. Learn how to kind of work them together. And you can say, oh, I ain't going to listen to this. You will kill us all. If we had to depend on you, Maxine Waters, we'd be dead. Every one of us would be handed a revolver, one chamber, one bullet, and we all would have committed suicide. In hopes, and you say, wait, well, not everyone's dead. Well, some of those bullets didn't fire off. Laws, the exception to the laws of energy. A president. That's why when I teach you, and I bring forth, put it on the table, that should itself be your conviction of who I am, what I am, and what I'm about. As you can see, we'll pan over here. I'm not reading from a teleprompter. It's up here. I have a way of, say smartness means memorization mixed with my intelligence. So I can keep feeding the box. And you say, well, at some point, that box is going to overfill. How do you store it someplace? It's like storage bins, storage places out there. I have means to store my information. It's part of my spirit. Catholics, the Pope, the cap that goes on the back end, that's symbolism for the spirit that controls the brain. And then the brain controls the body. And the body interacts in the physical realms of things. So you have to understand, change the polarity of thinking. You're an apprentice for leadership. Obviously, she's a representative. Why do we have these system things? Okay, where we got these chain of commands leading all the way up to the president and the vice president. So the president, in terms of symbolism, and hierarchy, that would be the Republicans. And then the vice president would be the Democrats. Okay, and what we know with truth, we hold these truths to be self-evident. No matter what walks of life you're in, whether you're gay or straight or heterosexual or religion, there's always a head to that group. Whether it's a gang member or prison Because yeah, I've done research in prison. So there's always a head to something. Whether it's the Hell's Angel, there's always a head guy. Or a couple guys that's leading it, facilitating it. The word facilitating. And you say, okay, now you got all these heads of people. Who governs the heads of the people? So let's back out and say, look at the job of the president. And we have the people in the Senate that create the laws and stuff. So basically the head of that state is essentially a form of being a president, a leader. So, and that's why we have chain of commands. So the president, when they step to the lower ranking presidents, because now I'm facilitating 50 states. You are facilitating one state. And because of my skill sets in the foundation of things. So not only am I going to decide upon things, I'm going to bring things out to the forefront, but I also have to teach you as well. Not only do you have to know why I decided that, and I looked at pros and cons. Sometimes, yeah, as we know with the Olympics, you might had a list over here and a list over here. And you say, this won by one item on that list. And you don't like either one. But you have to take the lesser of the evil. And you say, well, I don't like either one. They're both horrible. Well, we're going to have to take this, and we're going to be in high gear. What can we put in place of this? There's got to be an alternative. And you got to keep the wheels moving. Okay, this is just, and then you bring it in as a temporary. You say, people, just relax. This right here is just strictly temporarily, like we put things on pause. Put the video on pause. So people relax and say, wait, this is not permanent. We're just putting it there till we can figure out a much far superior concept to put in a place that you all will agree upon. So a leader, I step to my Senate, and they're dragging their feet. They're using all these tools to delay and manipulate. You know, because you got a lot of these people into their emotions or not thinking correctly. That's part of my job as a president. Is either you're going to work with me or you gone. There's no hard feelings. You want to say you don't want to sit down with me and we're about a nation of democracy, you're gone. And you show me conviction. Now, if you said that and you don't have that conviction, just like a child, even though that child just told me, die, daddy, I wouldn't take him seriously. You show me conviction and you're wanting to implement the one factor, you're gone. And I will tell you why you're gone. Well, you're being escorted out of our capital. So that's why we have all these problems. Okay, like I gave you an example with the car. And the people coming in your car. Okay, the people in your car is symbolism for other nations, other religions. It could be other skin tones, other cultures. It could be multiple things. So now you got a car and then you got a semi. Whether I have a semi people or I have a Volkswagen where I get 4 passengers. Now me being a driver, a leader, a president, they're putting their hope and faith in me and my skill sets and abilities to take them from A to B safely. Now it could be, if you're riding with me, it's going to be, it won't be a dull moment, I can tell you that. But for the most part, I have your life in my hands. You know, if I get in a car accident and I'm the only survivor, I will feel freaking horrible. So, symbolism. And then look at the symbolism of our government. Our government is a religion, just like God, highest level of evolution. He facilitates everything. Even though we have different stars and different universes and suns and everything else, asteroids, he facilitates on a much level that we are still trying to comprehend. So that is me. You say, well, we got all the heads of people, and it's like now it's, you know, God is the leader of all leaders. Well, yeah, that's partial truth. But the thing is, People struggle at things that they can't feel and touch. So you need a person like me that will come in, higher level of evolution. I've done this many times over, inside and out. I have to know it. And I have to know why I'm doing things. I have to give you examples. I have to, and you being my apprentice, give you a rationale, like we see in the hospital, teaching nurses. I was in the nursing program. Just before, when Andrew says every time, if you're going to do it, time is right now. Then I set up a situation. I went into prison so I could study the human behavior. So I know both sides of that fence in terms of our government and the laws and the structure of things and where things are malfunctioning, and what's putting high functionality and what's bringing it down. And like I've seen with Maxine Waters, holy crap, that's like a 7-pound foot. It's that endearment. And it's like, we hear, it's like in terms of Jesus, it's like, don't walk ahead of me as I may not follow. Don't, and vice versa. Means walk together. Oh, I'll fight him every step of the way. Means she's stepping in. But on the same time, that can't happen. How can you fight him every step of the way if you're not showing up? Contradictory. So, is she going out having sex to protect her virginity? Some people actually believe in that. I was like, damn, if I'm out having sex and having fun, you're not going to hear from me. But hopefully that has resonated deep within you. Not to hate her, but if anything, we should be thanking her. She gives contrast. That is the contrast that we need. To say, wait a minute, Everett's right. Everything she had said. She wanted us to feel lovey-dovey and say, I'm doing the right thing, but I'm not going to sit down at the table and work with Donald Trump. That's something you would see in a dictatorship, where it's all one-sided. It's about the person at the top. Now, I'm not putting dictatorship down. It has its pros, and it also has its cons. And that's why these dictatorships are not United States. It's not America. Because they have their limitations. And they have their problems. Like we're experiencing with Maxine Waters. And then I hear the name Waters. Well, Flint, Michigan. Didn't that turn into a disaster? Arizona. Not saying that we have the worst water here. But I can show you filters that not rust red, but it's poop brown. So we have fallen lower than substandard, and we're substandard, and somehow it's been so much of it we have seen it and we're accepting it as normal. Pardon my French, and pardon me for being aggressive. Fuck that. You're okay with substandard? Why would you ever? It's like you're living in Trump Tower. You got the best amenities. And you say, I'm going to go live on the street. And I want to eat my food, my dinner out of a trash can. I mean, that's close to my reality here. I don't make much money a month. And I barely have a roof over my head. But a lot of people out there, if you're on that level, majority of the people would say, hell no, I don't want to do that. Why would you accept something substandard? We're built on democracy. And then if anything, you're going to say this or this about so-and-so. Be freaking thorough. Because all it does is make you look more pathetic. Because I'm listening to her, I'm like, how in the fuck does she become a representative? And if I'm saying this, and that's the nice version of what we the people would say. And especially people in prison, they'll be like, wow, and they think we're dysfunctional. So I'm not trying to bash her. If anything, we thank you. Miss Maxine Waters, thank you. You are the contrast we needed. Because all you do is support the foundation, the things that have to be in place. thank you. See, what do you mean, thank me? You snitched yourself out. You know, we have to get real about things. And you're going to be a leader of leaders. You're going to get behind that wheel. And you got nations following you. And the car is your we the people. And we got a convoy. We got semis. We got tractors. I have to be at the top of my game. At my worst. You say, well, that don't make sense. It means at my worst, we have self-preservation. And if I'm at my best, we just get there that much quicker. And say, whoa, wait. Everyone's going, boy. That is a parable. Learning. Is if you're going to put your hope and faith in something, put it into something that seems and sounds right. It don't sound right, and I exaggerate in certain things because that's how you also teach people. You have to almost exaggerate it in junction with what is right, and then it'll snitch itself out. But when you exaggerate it, and it kind of blends in with what you're trying to present, you say, wait a minute, this just looks good, but why is it not showing contrast? You know? So, that's why, you know, all these skill sets that is associated with a president. You know, our streets out there, path, people driving. You got many people. Look at the president when he's in his limousine, and they have to be synchronized. Even driving down the street, synchronizing, knowing what road you're on. We know if you go down a dirt road, it's bumpy, it's dirty. You might get rock chips. I mean, you're taking a beating. Or you might be driving, it's not a path. And you don't know what the hell you're going to run into. Because there's grass. You don't know there's a tree stump there. And you're going to flip over it. You know, so these are all telltale signs. Everything in America, from the businesses, you know, it's like the head business guy, owner of that business, is like the president. And now he has to govern his people, his workers. So when you know, since I did prison, and we're talking about prison itself, which is prison Duly noted 23. In prison, there's a prison within a prison within a prison within a prison. You say, well, shit, that's a lot of prison. How in the fuck does that happen? You're in prison. You're incarcerated. Okay? But within the prison, there's like a jail. Okay? So that's in prison. And because of the condition, now the people, the inmates, become imprisoned in their mind and their thinking. Now they're limited. And it's like now they're acting like cavemen. They're acting like warriors. They're acting, I mean, they're in prison. They're limitations. You know, it's a byproduct of what their environment is. And so, well, you know, they got in trouble. They could put themselves in there. I don't, throw that fucking shit to the side. It's called humanity. One of the reasons why they become this vicious bull, or this vicious warrior, or this horrible, is because abandonment. People make them feel that it's called humanity. Say, yeah, you're like your child. And it's like, yeah, he's throwing a fit. You don't like what he's doing. But I don't sit there and beat him with a baseball bat. I don't just throw him in the corner in the closet and shut the door and let him in there for about 9 months. You know? So I'm just pointing out these things that, you know, people have been learning to do it the wrong way. Mixed in with some good things, or the things it's supposed to be. Because we are also trying to develop you of being able to identify the right and wrong. And by knowing, and then you bring in the element of functionality. And you say, wait a minute, well, that's supposed to be negative, you know, that's supposed to be destructive, but why do we have more functionality? And it's like, oh, that's supposed to be good, but yet, why we seem to be going backwards? Laws of energy. The symbolism of the sword. What can be your salvation can also be your destruction. Cut your head right off. And you say, but it looks so pretty. Yeah. So we have to be aware of that as a teacher of teachers, basically a leader. And that's what we're having with Israel. If you say Merry Christmas, between the name and Mary, mean joyful, happy, is the A and the E. Albert Einstein, my initials. If you do that with Israel, if you switch around the A and E, it's real. If you look at our dollar bill, right above the eagle, you have a 3 stars, and then you have 4 stars and then 1 star. Working from the middle out. 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1. I'm born on 341st day of the year, December 7th. Okay, if you take those stars, you can make the Star of David, which is a Jewish symbol of Israel. It's like you don't step on Israel. It's like the same reason why we wouldn't step on other nations. But at the same time, we have to find our groove. And everything else is like one hand is slapping the other, and it's like basic concept. Your very own body teaches you basic concept. I can convict you and be your judge. And you say, well, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, you did know. The tools, the essence, the tools that you have is you can look at yourself. And yet you don't see yourself that. Just like Israel is real. Who's ever saw that? Mary, sounds like the name Mary. Merry Christmas. Mom and child coming together. It means family. Jesus. Nativity scene. Animals. All walks of life coming together. Coming together. Well, all religions do that, right? But it's more pronounced with Christianity. Look at the United States. All walks of life. All religions. Good, bad, and ugly, and different, and everything else come together. And we're trying to figure out a system that works. That's Christianity. That's hierarchy. Where's ground zero of Christianity? Israel. So, why is Russia above Israel? You got to give Russia the benefit of the doubt. If Russia was to see that, oh, you're picking on Israel. I know Russia. They'd be inclined to say, hey, who's your freaking daddy? Now stay the hell out of there. And is a parable. That's why our nations are set as where they are at for particular reasons. Why there's oceans separating certain people until they evolve to a higher level plane of thinking and doing. And when they think in terms of our presidents, you know, I have a friend of mine that I did time with in prison. And it's Big Chief, Shoshone. He says, Everett, you know what's wrong with a white man? I said, Chief, stop that. You know, it's funny, but he does it well. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. But he's so true. Okay. But when you stand back and you say, wait a minute, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. He didn't quite get it, but I did. And then I started thinking and thinking. I was like, wait, dang. You're an apprentice to be a leader, a president. So that's where the chaos that we see out there. Everyone wants to be this head president. We are developing, have these certain skill sets, and be good at what you do. And that's how you're evolving. You know, you're on the sixth heaven. You're here for a particular reason. No matter how pathetic you look or feel, but as you start getting into self-discovery of yourself and your skill sets, everything is of value. In seventh heaven, everything is of value. And you say, well, Hitler's the seventh heaven? Absolutely. But we also keep him contained. And we also have some badass there that if he wants to get out of hand, we bitch slap his ass. But he's a good 7-pound foot. Okay? Everything is of great value in a system of things. And people on this planet is almost there of achieving something that has never been achieved amongst all life. When you put in the diversity, it's easy to have everyone like me. on a planet and everyone thinks like me. That's easy. It's like having every, a Michael Jordan, and every team member is a Michael Jordan. They get along fine, and they whoop the dog piss out of everyone. But not everyone's like Michael Jordan. Not everyone's like Mike Tyson, or Denzel Washington, or Sandra Bullock. I mean, I can name a list of people of the Hollywood that is extraordinary. Okay, so that's why we have to step back. That's why United Nations, UN, obviously Trump has said that we got some problems here. He's on a higher rank general. So, in terms of evolution, we had to evolve from the stone wheel to the rubber tire. That's essentially what Donald Trump is saying. I know you guys don't see it, but if we continue this path, we got a world of shit coming. And that's what Donald Trump, being the third element, Trinity, he knows enough. He doesn't have to think of it. He just knows that it's wrong. He's also in it. Donald Trump is also in it for his survival of accomplishment, confirmation of you have to remind yourself, and that's also part of the evolutional process. You have to remind yourself, it's called inventory, how good your skill sets are. Always keep practicing them. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's a good concept. So that's why with this duly noted 24. Okay, if you take 24 on the 10 scale, because we got 10 fingers, right? Okay, 2 and 8 makes a 10, and a 4 and a 6 makes a 10. My orientation is left-handed, right to left. So 8 and 6, if you read it this way, is 68. I'm born in 1968, December 7th. So not only on the $1 bill is that my signature, and I can take that 50 deep. Say, beyond the point of you saying, well, that's a coincidence. If you look at all clouds, eventually it'll show some shape. I mean, you have those type of people. That's why you have to take it in so many different dimensions. And it's like, no, he did not get lucky. No, how does he know all this stuff? Maybe if you sat down at my table and you listen to my videos, what I'm talking about, you'll say, wow. But then again, if you do that, you also have to remove your ignorance. And that's probably one of the reasons why she doesn't want to sit down and do a duly noted. Because she'll have to change her thinking. So if anything, we thank you, Maxine Waters, for the contrast you have provided us. Thank you. And with that, we'll end it right there. This is Everett Pierce with Einstein 314. And if you want to give back your blessings, you're welcome to do so, or donations at Everett or PayPal.me/EverettPierce. Everett Pierce. With that, thank you for your time and Godspeed.